Episode 21 of the Glass of Joe podcast. I'm PJ Glasser alongside of greatness this week, Joe Malfa, getting a chance to
Stop it.
an MLS game. Look at him. He's
Stop
blushing.
it. Stop it.
Well, we got a great episode this week. Our good friend from the DC Sportsbook and Bet podcast, Travis Thomas, joins us. Talked a little bit of everything. Big Georgia-Bama game this week, which we'll get into. Lakers, which we'll get into as well. Baseball, talked a little bit everything. It was great.
This is the biggest one we've had, I think, as far as news and newsworthiness. I mean, just a little quick bulletin, spark notes of everything we've got to cover. We've got NBA champion. We've got COVID outbreaks all over college football, in the NFL, schedule changes, Le'Veon Bell on the Chiefs. We got LCS series going on. What am I missing? We got a ton going. It's just a loaded episode.
Tons.
Savor it. Because you got the calendar over here, anybody watching on YouTube over my right shoulder, we've got about 3 weeks until it's only football, which is not a bad thing, but just got to savor the madness for as long as we can, BJ.
We got the Masters in a month, which is, really, I'm starting to get the feel a little bit. They dropped a video today. I don't know if you saw it on Twitter. And I'm like, oh, yeah.
I saw it.
And they're starting to bring that commercial back, the one when they sing Georgia,
oh,
Georgia. Oh, Joe, that's the best 20 seconds of my day. Lakers, Joe, won the NBA title as we both predicted. The Heat were able to get Game 5, but in Game 6, that Lakers defense was suffocating. You could see they just did not want to take that to a Game 7. They took care of business. LeBron wins his 4th title. Anthony Davis wins his 1st. But, Joe, we talked about a little bit last week that when LeBron ended up winning his 4th, that he closed the gap to Jordan. Of course, the comparisons would only keep growing. But, look, everybody compares the two. We just got to appreciate it. We didn't get to see Jordan. We've gotten to see, luckily, Kobe. We've gotten to see LeBron. We've gotten to see Durant. We've gotten to see some great, great players. But what LeBron James can do on a basketball floor, the way that he can affect the game in so many ways is just – it's
incredible.
It's incredible.
It's the only way to put it. Look, you could go back and forth. You could argue it. You can point this out and this out, and LeBron makes his teammates maybe better than Jordan did, and LeBron shies away from tough shots, but also LeBron has made 11 finals, even though Jordan only made 6, but then again, Jordan left for a couple. There's so much nuance to it. It started to rehash when we had The Last Dance on, and you could go through it all day. There's really no right answer. I'm on the Jordan side. If you say LeBron, you could be right too. Is it the only sport, PJ, where there's even an argument? There's no argument in the NHL. It's Gretzky.
Right.
At this point, there's really no argument in the NFL. It's Brady.
Right.
Is there really an argument anymore for Trout? I think it's just clearly Trout from the modern era. Obviously, you can say Babe and whatnot going back.
Yeah,
is it the only sport where there's actually an argument now?
Trout, again, if Bonds didn't have the steroids, I think that Trout would really but yeah, it's the one that really picks up so much steam. And it's the fact that those are the two guys, but then also people throw in Kareem, they throw in Kobe, they throw in Magic. So, and it's just the fact that they go through so many eras. I guess football after Brady would maybe be Jim Brown or Jerry Rice or Montana maybe. But yeah, it's definitely the big debate because hockey's Gretzky. There's
that's great. It's not even close. You take a minute to Google Gretzky's stats, and this guy had more assists in a season than people had points. It's ridiculous.
Golf, maybe Jack and Tiger, but then again, there are things you can't argue, like Tiger's peak. What you cannot touch. Obviously, Jack had the sustained success. He has the majors. Tiger, maybe he can get another 1 or 2 to close the gap that much. Maybe golf would be the only other one that's close to basketball. But Jordan and LeBron, especially because of the global phenomenon of the two.
Of course. And just to point out how absurd it is in the NHL, Wayne Gretzky had 1,963 assists, 2,857 points. If he never scored a goal in his entire NHL career, so just on those 1963 assists alone, second place all-time points is 1921, Jaromir Jagr. So he has 42 more assists than the second closest player even has points. It's
And
not even
Jagr needed to play 75 years to get all
exactly,
that.
exactly.
No, I'm with you. It's pretty incredible. Do you think are the Lakers your favorite right now to repeat? Would you say?
It's way too early to say because we know for a fact that the NBA offseason is sometimes more entertaining than the regular season. Not sometimes. It's usually more
Very
entertaining
true.
than the
Regular
season.
season, definitely.
Yes. And this year, you're throwing all the possible conspiring of players and GMs locked in a bubble together for a couple months in there. We're going to be getting stories in December of which guy talked to which agent while playing ping pong, and which it's gonna be like a game of Clue. It was Clutch Sports
The
representative.
guy with the glasses, curly hair.
Yeah, it was Clutch Sports representatives at the Coronado Springs Hotel playing
Right.
ping pong on the 4th floor that sprung the Bradley Beal to the Lakers trade. Like that's what it's gonna be like. So it's way too early to tell. Knowing what we kind of know, it's the Lakers are gonna be the favorites again. But do not forget about the Golden State Warriors because the Golden State Warriors are fully healthy again this year. Splash Brothers, Draymond, top pick that they could trade for more assets. They have Wiggins, so they have a ton of talent. They are number 3 in the title odds behind the Lakers and the Clippers. I think it was 4-1, 5-1, and then 7-1 in that order. Lakers, Clippers, Warriors last I checked. So do not forget about the Warriors. Probably will have to say any team with LeBron is going to be the favorite, especially with Anthony Davis. There's going to be a whole new batch of ring chasers like a Rajon Rondo who want to go there. So you got to say the Lakers are the favorites. The question marks rise in the East. Will Giannis demand the trade? Are the Heat for real to come back? The Celtics, the Raptors, the Bucks, the Sixers with Doc Rivers. There's a lot of moving parts in the East. And after all, in all of that, we didn't even mention the dynamic duo of KD and Kyrie that we're actually going to get to see this year for the Nets. So there's a ton going on in the East. Don't even want to try to handicap that race yet. But overall, I think you probably agree, Lakers are the favorites, and everything else will start to come into clearer focus once the wheels start turning in the offseason. We already saw Daryl Morey step down today. So it's just going to snowball from here on out.
2 quick questions for you. Over, under, 2.5. 1.5 more titles for LeBron, and more likely scenario to happen: Beal to the Lakers or Giannis to the Heat.
So Beal to the Lakers this year. Down the road, Giannis to the Heat because he's not a free agent until after next year. So I don't know that the Heat are going to risk trading anything for him. The Heat have nothing to gain by trading for him now, honestly.
Right. No, you wait for free agency.
Yeah, because if you trade him, you're probably giving up some of the great young assets that make you an attractive place to be. So if all of a sudden, I don't know what the terms of the trade would be, but if all of a sudden you turn around and you have to trade Tyler Hero and Kendrick Nunn as part of that deal, well, then there's not much attractiveness about Giannis going to the Heat because all the pieces you want to see him play with are gone. So in the more immediate future, Beal, I think he's almost certainly going to get traded this offseason. Down the road, definitely, I think Giannis to the Heat. It seems like a no-brainer at this point in free agency in 2020.
God, I hope he doesn't leave Milwaukee. That would
Me either. I would like for the NBA to start seeing stars stay in these smaller markets. It's a problem they've created for themselves with the Supermax, but that loophole where you could do a sign and trade, and just knowing that the rings and the sponsorships are all going to come in a bigger market. The deck is stacked against the smaller market teams. I got Dak Prescott on my mind. One of the bullet points that we didn't mention before. We'll get there too. There's too much going on. But the deck is stacked against small market teams. Would love to see him stay there, but odds are he's going to end up.
And LeBron, 1.5 over under.
I was trying to delay that one. It's a tough one. I think he'll get one more as the star. I think that's an important qualifier here. I think he'll get one more as the star of a team. Now, you know damn well with how well he keeps his body in shape and how much he wants to play with Bronny when Bronny enters the league, that he will wait until Bronny is on a team. He will probably sign with that team. That team will try to build up. and LeBron could win a title as a secondary or tertiary option. So I think under, if the question is how many more where he's the guy, but I do think he'll get 2 more. I would say over in terms of the overall. I think he'll get 1 more as he transitions into ring chaser like an Andre Iguodala, Rajon Rondo, with Bronny coming into the league. So 1 more as a star, 2 more total. I think he ends up tied with Jordan because I think once he gets 6, I think he'll just walk off. He's not going to push for 7. He's not going to push for 7 because people will say, "Oh, it was at the end of your career. You weren't the guy anymore,"
Right.
And that's going to be a strike against him. I think he'll walk out with exactly 6 and just drop the mic. Me and Jordan are tied.
That would
And
be
that's
fantastic.
it,
All right. We got a big college football game this week. Georgia, Alabama. Joe, I'm sitting on my couch last night, just on Twitter, watching TV. I see on ESPN that there's a breaking news ticker notification that comes on. It says, Alabama head coach Nick Saban tests positive for coronavirus. I'm like, oh, within minutes, my phone is just bombarded with texts. It was shocking.
What was your initial, in the moment, human reaction to it? Did your mind? And I'm going to put you on the spot here. Maybe make you out to be a total
terrible person.
Douche. But was your first reaction, "Oh my God, I hope Nick Saban's okay"?
It was.
Or was your first reaction, "Oh my God, we're playing Georgia this week"?
Both. But first it was, I hope he's okay because he's pushing 70. So
he's old.
And you know what else crossed my mind was how we had talked about this scenario when we were talking about college football coming back.
Sadly, yes.
Like the kids don't get sick and there's no risk for them, and that's true. But people like Nick Saban could get it.
I don't remember what episode number it was, but literally said those exact words. You said those exact words. What if Nick Saban gets it?
And not only does he get it, he gets it during the biggest game of the entire season. Look, I'm glad he's asymptomatic so far. Hopefully that continues. He seems like he's doing okay. There are reports that he somehow could be on the sideline for Saturday. I don't see how that happens, but we'll see. But
I think the most likely scenario is, remember last year when Hugh Freeze coached from a hospital bed in the press box that he had put in there. I could see them just like taking a total press box suite. Nick Saban, you're just staying in here for 12 hours today. Nobody's coming in or out. You got all the Dr. Pepper you could want. You got all the oatmeal, Little Debbie oatmeal cream pies you could want that he eats every day for breakfast, according to legend. And you just stay in here. You got a headset, and that's it.
Joe, here's what I want. I want a visual of CBS of the actual game with Brad Nessler and Gary Danielson calling it. And then in the lower right-hand corner, I want the Saban cam from his home, watching the game, getting the feed. That'd be interesting. Look, I'll just give you my thoughts on the game before the Saban news and what had happened. Bama has been not very good as when they're under a touchdown favorite at home under Saban. They've been – the last 5 times, they've lost 4 times straight up, obviously including LSU last year. I do think, though, that Georgia is a good matchup for their defense. I'm still not sure whether the offense can score points on Georgia just because Kirby has had their number in the past with whatever quarterback has started. Bryce Young, I hope you're ready because the backups have been important in this football game. I do think Mac Jones is the real deal, though. But Bama defenses the past couple of years have struggled with teams like Auburn and Clemson and Ole Miss, teams that run up-tempo and motion and all this eye candy and razzle-dazzle stuff. Georgia doesn't do that. Their offense is very vanilla. They try to smash you in the mouth, run, 2 tight end sets, a quarterback that's just a game manager. LSU tried that philosophy for 8 years, and they lost all 8 times. Bama's defense was very dominant all those times, but still enough, I think, the way they played last week, the fact that this game is at home, the fact that they know how much everybody's talking about how they suck, I think that's going to help them a lot. Don't get me wrong. I think Georgia can win this game. As you'll see in the interview, I tell Travis Thomas I think Georgia first half would be my bet if I had to make a bet in this game because I think they'll start strong. But Joe, at the end of the day, this game comes down to how much I think of Mac Jones. I truly believe that he's the second best quarterback Nick Saban has had since he's been in Alabama. 2 is 1, obviously, but Max 2. I take him over McCarron. I take him over Jalen Hurts. Take him over Jay Coker, whoever the hell you want to put at 3, 4, 5. But Max the real deal. And what makes this matchup so interesting and what makes Bama's offense so interesting, when Jalen Hurts was there, they were a run-first offense, obviously, because of Jalen's legs. When Tua was there, they were a pass-first offense because of all of the receiving weapons and because of Tua's ability to throw. With Mac Jones, they're a really balanced football team. You have Najee Harris back there, him and ETN, 1-2 best running backs in the country. They arguably have the best offensive line. And then he has 2 first-round receivers that he's throwing to with Waddle and Smith. So that's going to be key because Kirby has been able to sell out on the run against Jalen and play for the pass against Tua. But against this Bama offense, what are you going to do? So that's what I'm really interested to see is what's Bama's game plan on offense, whether they go with the run or whether they unleash Mac and try to throw the ball. And to me, that will be what ends up being the deciding factor.
And then the other game that was supposed to be the feature in the SEC was Florida and LSU this week. Lost its luster because LSU hasn't been great, and then lost from the schedule entirely until December 12th because of COVID. This came days after
Dan Mullen wanted.
Florida wanted a full stadium at the Swamp, which to his credit, he came out and apologized for making that comment, realizing that it probably wasn't the wisest. But we touch on Bama, Georgia. We touch on COVID in college football and plenty more with our guest for the episode, our dear friend from NBC Sports Washington in the past, and now his new endeavors in the podcasting sphere like us, Travis Thomas. We hope you enjoy it. I'm sure you will. He's a hoot, and we got a lot to unwrap after we get out of the interview because, again, we recorded this already. It was a lot of fun. You'll see. Just here's the interview. Here's the interview. Just enjoy it. Pleased to be joined this week by co-host of DC Sportsbook and Bet Podcast and our good friend Travis Thomas. Travis, I looked at the calendar today, and I know time means nothing in the year 2020, right? And I could not believe that it has been 9 months since I've seen you. It was the end of January that I left, that I went away, and it's October already. It's been 9 months. It's hard to believe, but it's good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you too. And look, I've texted this to PJ. He already knows this, but I told him I was honored to be on this podcast for a few reasons. First of all, PJ knows this because I tell him every chance I get, but I think the world of him. The way you look at sports from an analytical standpoint, the way you can read and react to different numbers and standings and stats and rankings, it's unbelievable. It's like nothing I've ever seen personally.
Appreciate that, Trevor.
And Joe, for you, what you're doing is remarkable. To be able to call an MLS game at your age, at this stage in your career, I think you appreciate it, but I want you to know there are people in this business that spend a career, a lifetime, trying to get that and may never achieve it. And for you to be where you're at now, I think is a testament not only to your talent, but to your hard work. So I'm a big fan of you guys' show, and it's an honor to be here.
Trav, I don't know what to say to that.
Should we just stop the interview right there? It can't get any better than that. So
I appreciate that. I had a lot of fun doing it, and I hope there's more to come. And that's all I can really say about that. I don't know how to handle it when people talk about me like that. I always feel weird. I'm like, I don't know. Talk about something else.
Trav, we're honored to have you on the show. Joe and I got a chance to work with you at NBC. So just be able to see you again and talk some sports with you, really, we're looking forward to this next 30, 35 minutes picking your brain.
Let's do it.
Of course. So let's get into it. There's been a lot of news this week, and we got a lot to cover. But first and foremost, Lakers won the title. Thoughts on that?
Predictable. Look, I tried every which way as a bettor to bet against them. I never bought in. I thought the roster was too Cleveland Cavalier West. I thought it was LeBron and AD and a bunch of bubble gum, right? I wasn't buying Kuzma. I wasn't buying this, reinvigorated Rondo. I certainly wasn't buying the coach. And I was absolutely wrong about all of it. Look, I grew up in the Jordan era. I grew up a Knicks fan, if you can believe it. So, I watched Michael Jordan stick it to my entire childhood. But LeBron's not – I'm not willing to say he's better or greater, but my God, it's much closer than people are giving it credence to. I mean, this guy's unbelievable. To win a title in Cleveland with himself, Kyrie, and Bubblegum, and to then do it here in LA. We know what Miami was, but still, he got 2 rings, did he not? You can't take it from him. I mean, the guy's incredible, but it was predictable. Even though I tried to bet against him, I sold myself on Houston. I sold myself on Boston at one point. Then I actually thought Miami could maybe give. Look, the guy, he's greatness personified, and I got to just shut my mouth and give him his credit where it's due.
Absolutely, like he said in his interview on stage, it's about time he gets his damn respect too, and he's earned it. I mean, there's nothing else you can
Everywhere
do.
he goes, he wins a title.
That's it.
I mean,
That's it.
It's impressive.
And
And
now
he may not be done.
I was just gonna say he might not be done. So look
Yeah.
at it next year. Do you look at them as the same favorite to come out of the West? And then on the flip side of that, what do you think about the Heat possibly coming out of the East again?
Well, look, the Lakers are going to be the favorites as long as LeBron is there, so that's not going to change. The Heat, sure. I mean, they could. I think both of them, I would say, are attractive and always have been attractive free agent destinations. Or, in the NBA nowadays, you almost have to say free agents or guys that demand trades, right? So why couldn't both of them? I'm a big Boston guy. I just feel like they're so close. Somebody on the roster needs to take the next step and become that killer. Is it Tatum? Is it Brown? Is it Kemba? I don't know. Do they not have the guy? Maybe it's Brad Stevens. I mean, can he go to another level coaching like we see Spoelstra, right? Something's missing there in Boston, but they are damn close. I hope they don't blow it up. But, yeah, I think LeBron is going to get another piece. And, in this town, we don't want to hear it, but LeBron's been hot for Bradley Beal for a long time. If they can figure that out, watch out. He might get 2 or 3 more.
True.
That's not out of the question, and it'd be fun to watch. I know if he gets 5, that following year when he begins his chase for 6, that Jordan 6, that's going to be one of the most highly anticipated seasons of all time when he finally has 6 in his sights. It's going to be like if Tiger ever gets to the brink of the record. It was going to be like when Federer initially got to the brink of the record, now Djokovic and Nadal are later, but it's like Serena now on the brink of the record. That's what it's going to be if he gets 5. So there's a lot of drama in store going forward.
Trav, we got a little football game down in Tuscaloosa this weekend.
Maybe.
Hopefully. I mean, we were all ready to talk to you about the game and preview it and all that. We will do that momentarily, but real quick, Saban, if he isn't on the sideline, how huge is that? Does that sway you from picking against
It
Bama?
swayed the line 2 points. It went from 6 to 4. So we know that Nick Saban is worth 2 points in Vegas now.
I'm shocked that game's still on the board, to be honest. Look, I was all prepared to talk about how Kirby Smart, this is a spot to beat Saban. He doesn't get many. And I just felt like this year was the year to get him. And then Saban, comes down with COVID, and I hope he's okay. And it certainly sounds like he's fine. But it kind of spoils it for me. Honestly, guys, we could speak candidly because we're boys. This whole college football season, and PJ knows I'm a huge college football guy, from opening weekend, not having the same juice because half of the conferences weren't even playing. College game day doesn't even hit the same for me without the crowd. I mean,
yeah,
it's the Nick Saban thing, aside from wanting him to be healthy, it just is like, it's just par for the course. And Joe, you mentioned, 2020, right? But it's just specifically the college football season. It just dampers the matchup for me. And it's such a big game, and it should be. And I wanted Kirby Smart against Nick Saban, and I don't think we're going to get it. I don't think Nick Saban's going to be on the sidelines, just my prediction.
Yeah.
I think Georgia wins the game. I do. I think Georgia wins the game. PJ calls me Moneyline Trav. I'm betting Georgia Moneyline this week.
Hey, you had LSU last year, and you were all over it.
I did. And that was, if you remember, PJ, that was gut. Now some of that was a special LSU team.
Yes.
And we all could see that. I don't necessarily think this is a special Georgia team.
Right.
This year is more of an indictment that I don't think this is the same Alabama. PJ would know more than me, but it doesn't feel to me like the same Alabama team that we've seen with the Tuas of the world and some of those great running backs, Derrick Henry. who's I think Josh Norman is still in the air from that stiff arm the other night. I just feel like it's Kirby Smart needs this a little more. But with Saban out, even if he wins it, it's soured a bit. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
To me, what's so interesting about if they do reschedule this game, we saw Florida and LSU, which was supposed to happen this week, is now December 12th. So if this game also gets pushed to December 12th, you could be looking at Bama, Georgia, possibly back-to-back in the game in Tuscaloosa and then in the SEC title game. So that's why I think they're doing everything to put the game this week. I'm not betting the game. I'm not touching it. If I were to play anything in the game, I think I'd take Georgia first half. The two times that they meet, Kirby's game plan for the starting quarterback, whether it's been Tua or it's been Jalen, has been tremendous. He shut them down. He's completely taken their offense out of it, much like what Belichick does to Mahomes in the first half. And then they go to the locker room, they make the adjustments. But I think first half, Georgia, even if Saban was on the sideline, now that he's not there, I really think that's a good play. But I'm not touching this game. It's going to be interesting. I think the world of Mac Jones. I really do. I think he's the second best quarterback Saban has had
one of
since
us.
he's been at Bama.
I
think
one of us.
I don't think so either, Trav.
I think Mac is really, really good. But I'm just excited to.
My biggest question for the game is if it's played and if Georgia wins, does that technically count as a strike against Saban's perfect record against former assistants, or no because he's on the sideline? I would say no.
Yeah.
I would say
still
no.
Saban's team, but it's still his team, but he didn't coach the game, so I would say no.
To me, also an important thing, Trav, is how does the committee view this game if Bama loses and Saban's not on the sideline and he's not making a tackle, he's not throwing a pass, he's not rushing the ball, and he's already worth 2 points in Vegas's eyes. So if Georgia wins the game, how does the community view that down the road?
Well, two things. First of all, I think it would be less an indictment on Saban because his legacy is already set, okay? So to me, it's more about Kirby Smart if he wins. But it would be an asterisk of, well, Saban wasn't on the sideline, okay? So they would take away from Kirby, even though it would be a huge win for him. And then as far as the committee, I think that's a good point. But I would say this. I think there's a smaller sample size this year by default because a lot of teams haven't played half the season. So I think in past years you would have an absolute blowout point. But this year – there's going to be slimmer pickings anyway. So Alabama's going to be fine if they do lose. And I think it also, we all know, depends on how they lose. Look, if they get ran out of the joint, that says a lot more than if they lose by a field goal late.
Yeah, I agree. Now, are you putting the winner of this game, if Georgia looks impressive, if Bama looks impressive, do you automatically put them over Clemson? Or because of Lawrence and Etienne there, are they still your top team?
You know, it's too early for me to say I would automatically do anything. In general, you know, I'm an SEC guy. I always do. Mm-hmm. And then Clemson has proven me wrong once. I mean, they won the national title and they smoked Bama. So I respect, right? But you got to earn it. But year in, year out, I'm going to always put my chips on the SEC table. Always. And this year's really no different. Look, Clemson, to me, I think losing last year was perfect for them to set up for this year. Trevor Lawrence coming back, being what he's done for social justice in our country. I have been so impressed with him, the person. Mm-hmm. I always loved him, the football player. It's easy to love. But now I'm really actually seeing the leadership stuff Dabo and the rest of that program talks about. So I would love to see Clemson actually win it. I'm kind of rooting for them, to be honest with you, even though I'm an SEC guy. I just think it would be an incredible story. But to answer your question, yes, I'm always going to put SEC over the ACC. I don't give a damn what team it is.
And now quick on this one, because I don't really want to spend too much time talking about these teams because I'm just very down on these teams this year. But bigger disappointment so far in your eyes, LSU or Texas?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'll go Texas. Even though, LSU has just pooped the bed, but Texas had higher expectations. LSU has a standard, okay? So if you're below standard, but you're coming off a title, it happens. You could say it's a national championship hangover. You could say Joe Burrow left. You could say all that stuff. You used the COVID stuff for them too, quite frankly. They were one of the first teams hit, and they were hit hard, if you remember. Texas had expectations, and when you have expectations, it's different. This was do or die time for Herman. It's not going well. They have a quarterback. Like, what's the problem? They can't stop anybody. They, to me, are the bigger disappointment because of the expectation level, including myself. I had them in the playoff last year, and then when they didn't make it, I was like, well, they better do something this year, and they look worse.
They do.
So, no, I actually think his seat is hotter than lava.
And now this next topic, I think it's asinine that the Big Ten is playing football. It seemed like they made the right decision at the beginning, saying they're not going to play. And now here we are, cancellations and outbreaks left and right. And it's like, oh, we're starting next week in the middle of all this. But be that as it may, they are starting. So we got to preview it. Starts next week. They're playing an 8-game schedule. Pac-12 starts in November, playing a 6-game schedule. If that even happens, do you think if either conference has an undefeated team, that they'll automatically get in over a one-loss SEC, ACC, or Big 12 team, even if they haven't played as many games? I guess you could almost throw the Big 12 out because the Big 12's already cannibalized itself into oblivion where nobody has a chance. So really just SEC, ACC, undefeated from the Big 10 or Pac-12, would they get in over a one-loss team even though they've played so many fewer games?
Pac-12, no, because Pac-12. So really the question is Big 10. Look, can you ever keep Ohio State out? And if you do, those fans are so obnoxious, you wish you let them in. Again, it depends on circumstances. I'll say this. Even though Ohio State fans are annoying if they're unbeaten and they don't get in. And I have a futures on this, so maybe I'm biased. Penn State, guys, they are so close. They are so close. They're right there. They're knocking on the door, and it's just a matter of time. I'm not buying Ryan Day. I still think, sometimes when you take over for a legend coach and you still have their program,
yes,
and that guy wins, he's still winning with Urban Meyer's players. Sure. Give it time. I'm telling you, it's like the stock market.
It's a great point. It was Les Miles with Sadie at LSU. Yeah. Same thing.
Exactly.
Right.
Their stock soon is going to drop, and Penn State has been rising, and it's right there. Franklin is ready. I personally think he's a quarterback away, but Penn State's right there. I have a future on them to win the Big Ten before all this madness, so who the hell knows what's going to happen. Yeah. But I'll say this. If Penn State goes unbeaten, beats Ohio State, beats Michigan, boy, wouldn't they have a case?
I agree. I think if any of Michigan probably doesn't do it. Michigan struggles. No. But if any of those three teams, Ohio State, Michigan, or Penn State, are on the table, I would put them in, especially just because of the strength of schedule they're going to have. You figure they're going to have to beat a Wisconsin in the Big Ten title game. So that's what I'd probably go with.
I think, too, from those conferences, it almost has to be a school with a brand name. Like, if it's the Pac-12, I can't see anybody outside of USC or Oregon.
Exactly.
If Oregon State is 6-0, I just think the committee will be like, we can't. You know what I'm saying? Trav, NFL now, it looked like the Chiefs, Packers, Seahawks were really head and shoulders above every other team. Chiefs lost at home last week to Vegas. Seahawks were fortunate to win against Minnesota. Packers are on a bye. They got Tampa Bay this week. Who do you see right now as the best team in the NFL?
Oh, well, look, it's so hard to put it down to one. Those teams you named obviously are there. I'm going to tell you something. There's a team you didn't name, and there's a team no one's talking about. And you look at the record, and we look at them the other night, and I made a joke about a stiff arm. Those freaking Titans.
You're right.
Are so physical. They're such a throwback team. We just don't see teams like that anymore. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if that's why they don't really get the props. If you think about it, they snuck up on everyone last year. They didn't get the props. They ended up in the AFC title game. I mean, this freaking Titans team, man. Vrabel's a great coach. Their running back's ridiculous. Tannehill is slightly above the game manager at this point.
Once you leave Adam Gase, your stock goes through the roof.
I mean, their receivers are big, physical, run blocking, pass catchers. They don't have any speedsters. They bludgeon you. I mean, I don't know what else to say. They bludgeon you to death. Their defense hits you hard. They are a throwback team. And that, to me, am I willing to say they're better than the Chiefs? Or I'll give you another sneaky one. Without Brady, they don't get the press. That freaking Patriots team's pretty good too. The playoffs in the AFC are going to be really compelling, but
Yes.
I want to give some respect to the Titans.
And I think
Fair
the
enough.
Titans that you mentioned, they remind me, bias of course, they remind me of my 2009-2010 Jets with Rex Ryan, where they just played smash mouth defense.
Yes.
They ran the ball down your throat.
Yep.
Mark Sanchez for the butt fumble and the jokes. Those 2 years, he was good when he had to be. And I think Tannehill's just a much better version of that, where he's good when he has to be. They rely on Henry, but he does make the elite plays when he has to.
That's a fantastic comparison. I would say not only is Tannehill a little better than Sanchez, I would also say Vrabel's a better coach than Ryan.
Yes.
No
Yes.
question.
The defense for the Jets was better than the Titans' defense, but the Titans' defense is strong as well.
Agreed.
Trav, over to the NFC East now. What happened to Dak was awful. We hope he's okay. I thought it was great news that it's only 4 to 6 months. That injury, when we saw it, I mean, that looked like it could have been 9 to 12. Now, the division, it was already going to be up for grabs while Dak was healthy. Now that Dalton takes over, two-part question. Are the Cowboys still your favorite to win the East? And over-under number of wins that you think the division winner will get, 7.5.
Oh, God. Look, yes, for the first answer. I bet a good buddy of mine who swears he's not even an Eagles fan. It's kind of weird that he feels so adamant. But he's like, I'm telling you, the Eagles are going to go on a run and win the division. I'm like, dude, the Eagles stink. And they're going to get smoked by the Ravens this weekend. What are you talking about? And so we bet a bottle of Crown Royal that he picked the Eagles and Carson Wentz. I picked Andy Dalton, who is the quintessential game manager in the Cowboys, to go ahead and get it done. So, yes, I think they win the division. They have enough talent. Andy Dalton doesn't throw games away. He just manages them. That's what they need. They need to run the ball and give it to Zeke.
Perfect.
They're going to win the division. Gosh, the over-under. Look, they're going to win. That's a 7-8 win. I'll go 8-8. It's 8.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you. I agree with you.
I thought that as soon as they signed him. I know that he signed there because he didn't want to have to move during a pandemic, and he's from there. But I said, God forbid Dak ever went down. That is the perfect guy. I mean, think of what he did those years with A.J. Green, and you've got that trio of receivers with Zeke. The offensive line is a bit porous, but he is the perfect. If you could look around the whole league and pick one backup quarterback to be on the Dallas Cowboys, it was Andy Dalton. So I still think they're the team to beat in the division. But regardless, now switching to the lesser teams in the NFC East and some other teams, Giants, Washington football team, the New York Jets, the Falcons, regardless of who gets the number 1 pick, is there any question, and I think I know your answer to this based on what you already said, is there any question that that's Trevor Lawrence?
No, barring an injury. Obviously, we don't wish that on anyone, but, I mean, we've seen some crazy crap in football over the years, right? So if this guy goes down hard and it's a significant injury, could I see a Justin Fields or a Trey Lance? Sure, right? Or whoever else emerges. But barring an injury, no, I don't. In fact, I see teams moving heaven and earth to either try and trade up or to tank. Or I actually read an article today about a conspiracy theory that Atlanta is going to go hard after Lincoln Riley and try to get Trevor Lawrence. I mean, it's going to be nuts. I have not personally seen a prospect this polished is the right word since I remember thinking Andrew Luck was can't miss. I remember thinking Cam Newton was can't miss. This guy's right there to me. I mean, if he's the number 1 pick, even if it's the damn Jets. Joe, you'll love this.
I was just going to say, the only wrench I could see thrown into this is if my Jets get the number 1 pick, you know who one of Trevor Lawrence's biggest confidants is, and that is Peyton Manning. And Peyton Manning was the, no doubt about it, number 1 pick. That year the Jets had the number 1 pick, and he went back to school because he wanted to avoid the Jets. So It won't happen, not in this day and age.
Peyton Manning's way more douchey. And we just talked about, the kind of guy Trevor Lawrence is. Let me tell you something.
Do it.
He's going to go wherever has that first pick. And you know what? He's going to turn him around. I believe it.
Well, Here's hoping it's the Jets. I love Sam Darnold still, by the way, and whether he goes to the Niners, Steelers, or Colts, he's going to tear it up. But if it's Trevor Lawrence there, it's a no-brainer for the Jets. Quick baseball question for you here, just because I'm sitting here. If you see me glancing away, I'm glancing at currently bottom 7 Astros Rays on the TV here.
Are you a Yankee guy?
I'm not. I'm a Mets guy. So we're
Okay.
about to become the Yankees with the deep pockets of Stephen Cohen. So arrows pointing up for the Mets too. But
Yeah, it didn't work out for the Yankees this year. That's for sure.
That's true. That's true. But what World Series matchup do you think we'll get, and who do you think wins it all? As it currently sits as we're talking at 7:54:36 on Thursday night, and it's 3-2 Astros, bottom 7, and the Dodgers and Braves are about to play.
Well, you guys know, and PJ knows this about me, it always comes down to the futures. I have a Dodgers ticket. It's my 3rd straight year having a Dodgers ticket. I'm going back to the well on it. So my World Series is already ruined. I want a Dodgers Yankees. I'll take a Dodger Astro without the Astros cheating and see how that goes. But the way it's looking, I mean, I don't see anyone beating the Rays. I still think the Braves will figure out how to choke it. So I think we're going to end up with probably a Dodger-Ray World Series. But real quick, and I know we're not talking this, but PJ has to hear this story. PJ, I took a futures 20-1 on the Dallas Stars to win the Stanley Cup, and I got it in July, bro.
Oh, my God.
Can you imagine the hurt that I went through? Can you imagine?
Oh, did you hedge it?
No, I don't hedge.
Was the hurt worse, or was the excitement greater when you knew they were going to the Cup?
The hurt, because I'm so confident I thought they were going to win the Cup.
Trav, but don't you remember
You couldn't have been
Joe and
confident
I
against the
have
Lightning.
talked.
Yeah.
You said Tampa.
We did. And Joe and I talked about the Virginia comparison, and we were all over that.
And I agreed with you. I agree with you, PJ. The issue was I didn't like the odds.
That's fair. What were they, like 4-1, 3-1?
Yes. You know what I should have did in hindsight, and this has burned me several times, and I still haven't learned. I'm so good at picking conference winners, but I never bet conference. I always bet the title.
Yeah.
True.
Conference.
True.
I know.
I went as soon as the Dodgers went down 2-0 against the Braves. After I saw them have that 4-run 9th inning where it seemed like the bats woke up, I actually jumped right on, and I got them at plus 400 to win the World Series.
There you
when
go.
they went down 2-0 in the series. So I got to that.
Stars was that's a great handy. Would you see it? You just like the talent, the potential? You just saw that?
I'm really good at hockey. Actually, hockey and baseball futures are my best 2 sports rando. I just have a good eye. I know what works in hockey, and then I know in the playoffs it's the puck bounce. Like it's so luck in playoffs. Right. So I pick a team that has a playoff formula to them. And what I liked about the Stars, they had the star power. They had
unintended, I'm sure.
Yep. They had a decent defense. They're well coached. The goaltending was a little sketchy, but to what I'm saying, my theory, in the playoffs, goaltending can get hot, and so that's what I was banking on. And their goaltending played really well.
They did.
And look, Tampa's just what you called, PJ. It was like destiny,
It was, and who knows? It might be the year of Tampa. They might have the Rays, and then maybe the Bucks down the line. Who knows? So, Trav, we do 2 segments with all our guests to end: the Swift 7 and the trivia question for you. Real quick before we get to the Swift 7, you have your own betting podcast with Michael Jenkins. You guys break down all the games. Do you have a favorite NFL and college bet of the week?
Well, my college, I'm still going money line with Georgia.
Okay.
It's just soured for me like the whole season has been, but I will obviously watch the game if it's played, and I'll be sorry, PJ, rooting for Georgia.
Understood. Hey, if it's plus money, I mean, you got to.
Me, money line Trav.
Money line Trav, that's right.
I'm going Panthers minus 1.5 against the Bears. To me, the Bears are the worst 4-1 football team I've ever seen in my life. I'm not buying it. Nick Foles is cool, but I'm not believing that's a 5-1 football team. And the Panthers, Teddy Bridgewater and the gang are playing better. Matt Rule's got those guys rolling. They're at home.
Without McCaffrey. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, and all I have to lay is 1.5. I'm going Panthers.
I like it. All right, Trav, Swift 7 time. Question number 1, what is your favorite sporting event that you've been to?
Oh, I'm not a big go-to sporting event. So I'll say this. My career, I've been lucky. Like I got a full-time job in sports as a junior in college, if you can believe that. You guys don't have enough time to hear that story. But so I've been covering sports now for 15 years. I'm not an old guy. I've just got in it really young.
Mm-hmm.
And so going to them is like work for me. It's I don't get a rush.
Right.
I get more of a rush watching sports.
True.
So my favorite thing to watch is the Super Bowl and a big boxing match or UFC fight. I'm a big combat sports guy.
Nice. Favorite athlete of all time?
Favorite athlete of all time? Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, tie.
Okay. Favorite restaurant to eat at in the DMV?
Favorite restaurant to eat at in the DMV? I don't know if I'm kind of simple. I go to like chains. I like Fogo de Chao. That's not the most.
I know it's a great answer.
But I was
Not a
just gonna say,
DC answer.
Right, no, it's a chain. That's fair.
it's probably been like 6 months since any of us have even been to a restaurant anyway.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I'm ready for the meat sweats again.
That's funny. And then what's your favorite sporting event to bet? Is it March Madness? Is it bowl season? Is it NFL Sunday? What's your favorite event?
Any. All the
right.
above.
Love
D,
it.
all the
Dangerous
above.
answer.
That works.
All right, now piggybacking off of that, question number 5: favorite type of bet to place? Futures, money line, parlay. What's your favorite type of bet to place?
Also, all the above. I will say I'm probably better at football, and I'm really good at futures for baseball and hockey, as I mentioned.
All right, favorite moment from the NBA playoff bubble?
Just the fact that they were playing. I didn't have a favorite moment. I wasn't really. I can't get into it. I need the fans. Honestly, I didn't realize how much I missed fans until I didn't have them, and I had that virtual screen. I mean, I was just happy to have basketball. I didn't have a moment.
And last, number 7, favorite sports movie?
Oh, that's a great one. Okay, so you guys are young, so you're going to have to hit Google after this. There's a movie called The Program from the 90s, and it is the greatest sports movie ever made that no one ever talks about.
I've never heard of it.
Oh, that's why I say you're going to have to hit Google. You guys watch it. It's very 90s, so cheese, but it's amazing. It's a college football movie, so PJ, right up your alley. And it goes through all the drama that goes on these campuses, and the star quarterback, but he has a drinking problem. And then your star linebacker gets hurt. There's another defensive end that's like on roids, and the coach finds out. It has a good cast. Omar Epps is in it. I mean, it's Halle Berry's in it. It's a good movie, but no one ever talks about it. And I'm blown away. There's another one in the 90s called Blue Chips as well. I'm sure you guys heard of that.
That one I've heard of, yep.
With Shaq and Nick Nolte is a good one. But check out The Program. Anyone listening to this that's under the age of 35, go look it up.
All right.
Great recommendation.
And like PJ said, we always end with a trivia question here as we wind it down. Big SEC week, Georgia Bama, like we've talked about plenty. So we want an SEC football question for you. You got 3 strikes or 90 seconds. So since 2010, either Georgia or Bama, sometimes both, have been in the SEC title every year except for 2 times where neither of them made it. So from 2010 to 2019, only 2 SEC title games that had neither Bama or Georgia. You don't have to tell us the year because that could be tough. But can you tell us the matchup in those 2 games that did not feature Bama and Georgia?
Auburn, LSU? No. Oh, this is tough.
PJ gave you a tough one for this one.
They played each other. The 2 teams played each other?
Yeah. So it was.
Was it a combo of a team playing Alabama, a team playing?
No.
The opposite. The exact opposite. All but twice, only 2 times from 2010 to 2019 that neither Bama or Georgia made it. So those 2 years, what was the matchup?
Oh, man.
So you're on the right track with Auburn, and then it's 2 teams from the SEC East.
Oh, God. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to even imagine
PJ
without
came
Georgia.
out firing at you for this one. I saw it, and I was like, damn, PJ's really going in on Trav for this.
Who is it? Tell me.
So 2010 was Cam's Auburn Tigers versus South Carolina, the Spurrier Jadeveon Clowney team. And then 2013 was Auburn again, and they played Missouri. Right as they were entering the SEC, Gary Pinkel was the coach.
It was
They had
Michael Sam's
Michael
year.
Sam. They
Yep.
had Matty Malk there. That was their team.
What awful. It
He
doesn't
came
even
out
sound right
firing
with
at
those.
you.
Those
Yeah.
teams are awful.
Does.
I remembered Auburn. I always look at it before we come on so I can see how mean PJ decided to be to our guests. But I got Missouri, Auburn. I couldn't remember South Carolina.
Yeah,
I got
Auburn's
Missouri,
easy.
Auburn.
And good for you to get Missouri. I mean, I don't even
And
think
there was 1
SEC.
year.
I don't even think SEC when I think them.
Oh,
I'm with you.
yeah, that's not. They're one of the newcomers that everybody just overlooks. But
Hey, PJ, are you buying Tennessee?
No, I love Kentucky
Garrett,
plus 6.
Here, look at this right here. Anybody who watches on YouTube, St. Joseph Regional Green Knights. We played 4 years against Jarrett Garantano, went to Bergen Catholic, never saw the hype in that kid. And if he ever listens to this, I hope you don't come to me. Understand my job that I'm coming out here and just talking about it. Never saw the hype in him. I'm sure he's a great kid. I'm sure he's got a bright future after football. But I cannot fathom, and kudos to him for being the starter at Tennessee, but I have never been able to fathom how he is the starter and looked at as the guy at an SEC program. I've never understood it.
Because they had nothing, bro.
Right.
Had
I know.
nothing.
But he was
Look,
our biggest
Pruitt's-
rival, and he beat us a couple times, made a glass in high school, broke his wrist a couple times. But kudos to him. I'm sure he's a great kid. But, I've never understood the hype around him.
Pruitt's a
Sorry to
good
say.
coach, Trav. They got a great offensive line, but this week against Kentucky is a terrible spot for them because they just played Georgia. They got Bama next week. Perfect sandwich. But they might lose, honestly. Kentucky might beat them outright. And then I love Mississippi State this week too. A&M came off playing Bama and Florida back-to-back. Mississippi State's been struggling. They might lose that one too.
Yeah, anybody who's been with us for 20 episodes knows that we record these via Zoom, and we've got a 40-minute time limit. I see it ticking down to 3:20, and we're going to milk every second out of here, Trav. So my train that I've been riding so far has been Coastal Carolina. A couple of my friends went there, so I've always kind of kept tabs on them, and they are 4-0. They've won all 4 games on national TV. They're going to be ranked next week. So that's a team to keep an eye on as well in the Fun Belt.
You guys got to have Jinx on too. This guy pulls like Division II games of teams I've never heard of and bets them and hits them. So you guys could do a full 40 minutes with Jinx on rando college knowledge.
Fantastic. How have you been
You might
doing
have
so far with your
You might
betting?
have given us episode 22 right there.
Yeah.
We've been doing good, man. The podcast is awesome. It really is. A DC Book and Bet podcast. We're just a local sports betting podcast, quite frankly. We really try to lock in on Washington football team and Ravens and all the local teams. And we talk everybody too, but we try to really focus in on them. And then you two know what it's like when Jinx and I get together. So there's
So much fun.
there's a lot of entertainment on that show. I'll just say that.
Hey, maybe depending on what the climate is like with the virus and things opening, not opening, you might have birthed an idea. The 4 of us go to Fogo one night when I'm back up there in a couple weeks. I'll be back in mid-November. So
Absolutely.
For the off-season.
Trav, did you see they released the photos today for the sports book down at Cap One? Did you get a chance to see those?
I did see that.
I did
see that.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun.
I'm looking forward to it.
We're getting the warning for less than a minute. Trav, we can't thank you enough for coming on. It's been awesome getting to talk to you. Like
Great seeing you, Trav.
First time in 9 months that I've even gotten to see you, so it's awesome. Can't wait to get back and see you again in person at some point.
Yeah, for sure. And you guys know, anytime you want me on, I'm here, man. Just let me know. I'd love to come on. I'm a big fan, and talking betting anytime. You know I'm in.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, Trav. Stay well, man.
All right, guys. You too.
Okay. Like when I tossed to it, I just said, here, just enjoy it. I hope you enjoyed it. And now you see why Travis is one of the nicest, funniest,
he's the man.
Overall best guys
Absolutely
we've ever gotten to work with.
Yeah, he really is.
PJ, I don't know how much we had to pay him to say all those kind words about us at the beginning.
So nice.
That came out of nowhere, and the testament just to how great of a guy Trav is. And like I said, when I tossed to it, because, again, we recorded that before we recorded our segments for the night, so I knew it was coming to tee it up. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'm sure you did. And PJ, a lot to unwrap from that conversation. Where do you even want to start?
I mean, just so much. It was so good to see him. You were talking about how you hadn't seen him in 9 months.
9 months.
I haven't seen him since March, I guess. So it was great seeing him. I just love how he gives it to you straight, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, we've had so many sports media people on here, and they're so wired to give the trained, appropriate answer. Trav will just be like, they suck. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, the Big
When he
12,
said
they're no good.
when I made note of Trevor Lawrence being a Peyton Manning guy and Manning
Right.
spurring the Jets, he
Peyton's
just
a
straight up
douche.
said Peyton was a douche and Trevor Lawrence isn't. Like, who's gonna say that? Trav will say that.
Love that. So he just gives it to you straight. He made a lot of good points, though. I thought it was really good point when he was talking about the NFL draft and how, look, I mean, Trevor's going 1 unless, the Jets will be an interesting decision, obviously, with Darnold there. But if anybody else goes 1, I mean, it's going to be Trevor. Talking about the kind of person he is, how he's displayed that leadership. I think it's only helped him, but it was great talking to him.
And plenty to talk about as far as things go in baseball. I mentioned while we were interviewing Travis that I, on the corner of my eye, I got Rays Astros up, and as we were talking about his picks, at the end of that conversation, G-Man Choi pimped one to tie it up at 3 in the 8th inning. And it's currently top 9, 2 outs, runner on second for the Rays. So I'll keep you updated. A live play-by-play that by the time you listen to this, it'll be obsolete. Either the Rays or Astros will have won unless we're in the 73rd inning and the sun is rising once again. But as of now, 3-3, top 9.
Come on, Tampa. Let's go. Please beat
On the flip side, Braves, Dodgers, a very interesting series to say the least, the way it started with the first 2 games going to the Braves and then the Dodgers coming out and just lighting the Braves on fire last night. So for as weird as of a baseball season that it's been, we've gotten some really good playoff action, and there's really no complaints to be had about that.
Yeah, playoff baseball never disappoints. It really doesn't. It's so good. It's funny. I kind of forgot that the baseball game started at 5 o'clock yesterday on ESPN, and the ticker comes on. It's like Dodgers up 1-0, 2-0. I didn't change it. Next thing I know, it's 7-0, 11-0. I'm like, well, not watching that game tonight. Yeah. That's over. So, but the Dodgers offense is just so special. It was only a matter of time before they could start scoring runs. The big question was going to be their pitching. They got a little bit of a scare when Kershaw didn't start Game 3 in a must-win, but the offense took things into their own hands and made it series again. And, Joe, would you say tonight is a must-win for Atlanta?
For Atlanta, yes. For the Dodgers, no. The Dodgers could absolutely come back from down 3-1. If the series is 2-2, it probably ends 4-2, and the Braves don't win another game. I don't. If they win tonight, the Dodgers, we will not see a Game 7. It'll be done in 6. They'll just rally them all, the bats, the pitching, all coming together. Total avalanche if they win tonight. It was really an avalanche. I mean, ever since the 9th inning of the previous game when they scored the 4 runs, made it tight in the end. Melanson got out of it, and then they come out with an 11 spot in the first inning the next night. So in consecutive innings combined, they put up 15 runs from the 9th inning in Game 2 and the first inning of Game 3. So it's a must-win for the Braves. If they lose, game over in 6.
I mean, I think the Braves will get another one. Again, I told you that I'm always looking for who's the Virginia, UMBC, who's the Lightning, and the Braves. Again, my mind, that 10 spot that they gave up against St. Louis, they took the first 2 games against the Dodgers, and I'm like, maybe this is their year. Because we talked about how easy the route looked for the Dodgers. And it's never that easy. There's always a speed bump. So maybe Atlanta takes them out and they play Tampa in the World Series. We'll see. But, I'm with you. I'm kind of in the mindset Atlanta's really got to win this game before you make it a best of 3 with the Dodgers. You can't feel good about your chances. So I think they got to win tonight.
Yeah, I think if it's Dodgers, Rays, it's probably a very good, fun series. But the Dodgers take care of business in 6, with the Rays barely pushing it to a 6th. If it's Braves-Rays, then it's certainly, I think, going 7. I really would feel confident in that series going 7 of Braves-Rays. I think that would be a really fun, tight, can't really figure it out matchup. The Dodgers, at some point, the Rays are the little engine that could, and it's fun watching them. At some point, you go against the Yankees, the Astros, and the Dodgers. the payroll discrepancy is going to catch up to you at some point. You just
Yo,
feel
you
like
talk about the payroll. They just put Moneyball on Netflix.
they did.
I forgot
They
how
did.
good that movie was.
Such an incredible movie.
Chris Pratt is Scott Hattenberg, and it
Yes.
blew my mind. Well, I
That's a
saw
great
that movie. I saw that movie when I was a kid, and I really hadn't seen Chris Pratt in much. I think the first thing I'd seen him in was like Parks and Rec. I'm sure there was something else, but that's like the first thing that comes to mind. But I'm watching Moneyball. I'm like, holy Chris Pratt, Scott Hattenberg. Such a good movie, though. I mean, Jonah Hill as Peter Brand.
Perfect.
Brad Pitt. I mean, who would ever think he would be so good as a baseball? He's pretty damn. It's such a good movie. So, Joe, whenever you get a chance, I'm glad you saw it was on Netflix. But for everybody who didn't know,
watch it again.
When you get a free 2 hours, fantastic.
If you've never seen it, see it. If you've seen it, see it again.
So
Very
good.
simple.
Because it just breaks down how these small market teams have to think. It's just such a great scene in the movie where they're trying to replace Johnny Damon and Jason Giambi and Jason Ingraham in the Oakland A's are. And all the scouts are trying to think like the Yankees are. Who are we going to pay? And, Brad Pitt's like, we can't think like the Yankees. We have to try and find a way to find the Randy Arozarenas and the G-Man Choys. I mean, that's what
and the Brossos, like, all these guys. And it's great, but unfortunately, how many championships has it yielded for the A's and the Rays?
I know.
So
That's
it's again, you just wait for that other shoe to drop and the rug to be pulled out from underneath you. And if they go up against the Dodgers, the bats for the Dodgers are just relentless. The Rays, more so than any other team, they have a great bullpen, yes, but they overwork that bullpen because they keep churning through it.
I know.
And just the fatigue, no days off between games, no travel days.
So brutal.
So it's good. It's just going to run out of steam here. And that's if they get past the Astros. Odds are certainly in their favor. It's 3-1. It's bottom 9 tied 3-3 right now. So even if they lose tonight, they still have to lose 2 more. But the doubt starts to creep into your mind if after going up 3-0, it's now 3-2.
That you lose.
Yep. Exactly like the Lakers against the Heat. You better close it out in Game 6 if you lose tonight, because if it goes 7,
especially in baseball,
Astros come out and do what the Dodgers did and put up a 9 spot in the first inning, like last year, like you mentioned with the Braves and Cardinals, and it's over. So,
exactly right.
Hopefully the Rays at least get to the World Series. It'd be a lot of fun. The storyline of Dodgers against them, Moneyball versus money.
Actually, though, Mookie Betts makes more than their entire team, I'm sure.
Just about everybody on the Dodgers.
Pretty much.
The entire roster for the Rays. So
that's pretty sure.
Baseball winding down. Basketball's done. Hockey's been done. At least the off seasons for those will pick up. But football, we're in the thick of football. The NFL is into week 6.
Your ex-running back found a new home today.
Yes, I was just getting to that. Le'Veon Bell, another one set free from the prison that is the New York Jets under Adam Gase. And every player that leaves Adam Gase, Devontae Parker, Mike Gesicki, Ryan Tannehill, Kenyon Drake, just the list goes on. And all these guys. Williams for the Chiefs could have been a Super Bowl MVP last year and was huge for them down the stretch. Every guy that leaves Adam Gase. Robbie Anderson on pace for 1,500 yards.
God, he's been great
now
for me
with
in
the Panthers.
fantasy.
So
hell yeah.
It's a
So I do think they cover this week, though. Flacco's going to get that back door, baby.
PJ will get there. PJ will get to that. You know my thoughts on that.
I know.
Put that one in Sharpie as one of my best bets of the week.
It's almost not even the best bets segments anymore. It's the Jets bets is what it is.
At this point, it's okay. What are the other 4 games Joe is going to pick besides against the Jets?
Right.
We'll get there, but
we will.
Le'Veon the Chiefs. I mean, people have made the analogy of the Chiefs being like Thanos in Avengers, dropping that last Infinity Stone into the glove. We already thought they had all the stones once they got Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and they somehow found something else now in Le'Veon Bell, who's just older, more polished Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who's still going to play second fiddle to Helaire, but is incredibly dangerous in his own right. He'll be in there on third downs for blitz pickups. He could be used as a slot receiver. If something happens to Helaire, he could take over. Maybe he's rejuvenated now in the same way that, another name I forgot, Jay Ajayi was when he helped lead the Eagles to a Super Bowl after he was banished from the Adam Gase-led Dolphins. You're seeing a pattern here of how things work out when guys leave Adam. Yeah, okay. So it's going to be interesting to see how he factors in with the Chiefs. anybody who plays fantasy in a dynasty league, this might be the time to strike while the iron's hot and trade for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, because whoever's the owner of Clyde Edwards-Helaire in your league might be like, oh, crap, he might not do so much now. He probably still will.
Yeah.
He probably still will. Correa, Wall, gone, walk off for the Astros.
Oh.
And
Are they really going to come back and win this? I
now
am
we're
not
in
happy.
Game 6.
I am not happy.
Sorry to be the bearer of bad news.
Tampa,
But
America's team, don't do this to me. Did you see the totally off topic? Did you see the senator at the Supreme Court House hearings who was crapping on the Astros?
I did.
That was outstanding.
I did.
Sorry, back to you.
But yes,
Bill,
he'll be good. Edwards-Helaire, you can probably get him on the cheap right now because people will be thinking that, oh, he's not going to do much, and you have him for the future still because the future for Bell probably doesn't exist at the Chiefs. They'll probably sign elsewhere after this year.
Right.
But it's going to be really fun to watch that offense go. It was
Rich get richer, Joe. Yeah, because Patrick Mahomes needed another weapon. That's what he needed. Yeah, I was – I really thought Le'Veon would go to Miami. I understand why he went to Kansas City, but I just thought from being there, kind of seeing what the Dolphins are doing, maybe the appeal of playing with Tua and seeing what Burrow and Herbert are doing and trusting that maybe he's going to turn out to be pretty good. But, again, he wants a ring. You can't blame him for going to Kansas City. But it will be interesting to see the dynamic between him and Helaire, because I think when Fournette went to Tampa, a lot of people saw him taking a lot of touches from Ronald Jones away, and he's been injured the past couple weeks. But even so, that really hasn't happened too much. They've still stuck with Jones for the most part. So we'll see what the correlation between those two teams are. I talk about the Ronald Jones and the Bucks. That's the big game of the week. I guess Chiefs Bills as well, but definitely Packers Bucks is the marquee game of the week. Joe, do the Packers lose their first game of the season?
If they weren't coming off a bye, I'd say maybe. If the Bucks looked better even in their wins, I'd say maybe. But I'll have to ride with the Packers here just because they've looked totally dominant. They're coming off the bye, and the Bucks haven't been convincing. They just really haven't. I mean, Brady has forgotten what down it is, which was astonishing, and
that's bad.
He's had his great games like he did against the Chargers, but overall, they haven't been as dominant as we thought. It's looking like we thought it was going to look, where they'd start slowly and then build up, but it took a couple steps forward against the Chargers, and then they took a couple giant steps back against the Bears. So I don't really know how to read them yet. I think whenever their bye week is, really at that point they'll start clicking right after that once they get a week to regroup. Who knows when that bye is, as bye weeks and games are shuffling around like crazy right now. But I'll have to say the Packers now, especially coming off of a bye. They've looked totally dominant. They had an extra week to prepare. The Bucks, I guess, in essence, had the mini bye because they played Thursday, but still coming off of a true bye week for the Packers. And a bye week that's this year, something to keep in the back of your minds as the season goes along. Curious to see if teams coming off a bye this year have much better records than teams in past years coming off a bye, because in the past, bye week is you go travel to see your parents who live 4 states away and you decompress.
Right.
Aaron Rodgers was on and Robert Tonyan was on. They asked them, the reporters, what do you do in your bye week? As if they were, had normal bye week plans. And they were honest. They were like, this isn't a normal year for bye weeks. We can't go anywhere. We have to stay here.
Great
so
point.
You wonder if that meant more days in the facility, if that meant more days studying film. So curious to see this year if you see teams usually are obviously good coming off a bye anyway. Curious if you see an uptick in winning percentage off of a bye, because now there is no mini vacation you're taking. You are stuck there, and maybe that lends itself to even more prep than usual. So something to keep in the back of your mind. Maybe we'll tally it up as the season goes along. But the Packers coming off the bye, a true bye against the Bucks, I got to go with the Packers.
What's crazy, if the Bucks lose this game and Carolina wins, the Panthers are first place in the NFC South. That is.
And next week, another team coming off a bye. Next week, it'll be the Saints off of a bye, getting Michael Thomas back at home, possibly in Baton Rouge, against the Panthers. So that's a huge game then next week.
That would be a really big game. Yeah, good for the Panthers. I think I'm leaning Bucks. I feel like a lot of people be on the Packers. The thing that's the telling sign for me, the look-ahead line of this game was Tampa -3. Bucks did lose to the Bears, but, I mean, they controlled the game. They were up 13 in the first half. That turnover at the end of the half killed them. Game they easily could have won. And then all the Packers did was beat Atlanta at home on Monday night. I mean, something they were supposed to do. So now the spread is swung all the way to Green Bay minus 1.5. So it's swung 4.5 points because the Bucks lost the game and the Packers won a home Monday night game. Just, I don't know. Something seems wrong. The Packers coming off a bye is the key. I'm not touching the game because of that. I mean, the Packers have looked really good. Aaron Jones may be the most underrated player in football. I mean, honestly,
He might be.
We don't talk about him as the best running back in football, but he is slowly – I mean, you talk about all-purpose back, running, receiving, how much he means to that offense. That guy's pretty damn good. It's going to be a big game. Personally, I'm looking more forward to Chiefs-Bills because both those teams are coming off of losses. Josh Allen, obviously, he's made such a big leap this season. Kansas City just laying an egg at home in Vegas, man. That was something that you just could not see coming. And now Buffalo got to regroup after just a horrible performance against the Titans. It's a big game for both teams because, look, again, the number one seed in the AFC is so huge this year because you get the bye, especially if they go to a bubble.
Yes.
So that game off is going to be massive. So games like this, when you got two teams that probably will win their division, huge.
And it could be a double bye if you think about it, because if this rumored Week 18 has to happen, if the number one seed's already wrapped up, you're not playing Week 18.
True.
You're not playing the next week because you have a bye. So it's really it could possibly be a double bye getting that one, which isn't necessarily a good thing.
Right.
You want to stay in rhythm if you're in rhythm. But speaking of regrouping, I have to regroup from the picks after I started.
Well, one of us do.
We are one pick apart now only. I'm 11-14. You're 10-15 in best bets. You could have gone 5 for 5 if OU and Texas weren't tied at the half.
Yeah,
You were giving the hook the hook only. That probably had to suck for you.
A little bit.
I went 2-3. I am convinced I would have gone 3-2 if not for the unfortunate injury to Dak. That game was definitely going the Cowboys' way, and it was the fumble on the snap in the first full drive for Andy Dalton that allowed the Giants to even stay in that game and get that touchdown to make it what they did. So you know what? Overall, and even my other loss, I'm rationalizing here, but the Bucks -3 against the Bears, that didn't seem like it was going to be a problem until late. Oh, and as far as coaches go, Bruce Arians, what are you doing, man? I mean, you went for it on 4th and inches at your own 20, but you wouldn't go for it then? 4th and 1 at like the 15 or whatever it was, or even closer. He
settled for the field goal.
He settled for the field goal to go up 2, and it screwed them in the end.
Right.
The Jets, same thing the previous week, did it against the Broncos, and same thing, the Broncos came down and scored. So in that case, the argument, and that was with like 5 minutes left on the clock, the argument for kicking the field goal is I trust my defense. We're going to hold them. They're not even going to get a field goal. The 2 points that were up is going to be enough. But if you trust your defense, that means you trust that same defense to get you the ball back if you fail to convert on 4th and 1, and now the opponent gets the ball 1st and 10 at their own 9 with 5 minutes left. So if you trust your defense to stop them with the lead, you also trust that same defense to stop them and get you the ball back in great field position, because if you force them to go 3 and out, they're punting from the shadow of their own goalpost. So it just doesn't make any sense to me to kick the field goal there, especially with an offense like that. You can't pick up a yard. I mean, again, also for a coach like Arians, who's a noted gambler when it comes to decisions like that, and went for it, again, 4th and inches at his own 20 early in the game.
That was a head-scratcher.
When you get away from who you are, you start making mistakes like that. Stick to who you are, and good things could happen. I mean, good things happened on that 4th and inches at his own 20. 4th and 1, the offense had been moving the ball down the field. Gronk just had a big catch on 3rd and 17. Line them up, see what you can get, and if not, that defense that you trusted to keep it a 2-point lead, they get you the ball back in good field position. So I don't know. Coaches got to stop kicking. And
they got to stop being concerned. Play to win and not playing.
And shout out to Zimmer for doing that in the Sunday night game.
Madison had a horrible read on that play.
He had a
If he
bad
bounces
read.
it out,
He had a bad read, and it
touchdown.
still took a great play by the Seahawks defense to stop him by like a Gene Steratore index card.
Right.
And
even still, Russ
they had over
2 4th downs.
Yeah, they had over 200 yards all night. Russell Wilson saw to convert multiple 4th downs. The argument for kicking the field goal would have been they would have to score a touchdown and get the 2, which they missed the 2, sure. But you pick up an inch and the game is over. Over, done, no shot. You still even leave the door slightly open by kicking the field goal.
Right.
If you can't pick up an inch, and then even if you miss that, if you can't stop them from going 85 yards, you don't deserve to win the ball game, period.
Sure.
So I like the decision.
I'm always go for it.
Let's get to our best bets.
I'm with you. All right, Joe. My number 5, I told Travis Thomas, he asked me if I thought Tennessee was the real deal. I think they're a good team, but I love this spot for Kentucky. Tennessee had Georgia last week. They have Bama next week. Kentucky just came off a great win against Mississippi State. Their defense looks awesome. Tennessee, a physical game last week. You know you're going to have a physical game next week, and Kentucky is a physical team. Take the points, +6, good number, 27-21. You push, low-scoring game. I like the Cats to win, possibly could pull the upset.
All right. I'm a big fan of this pick this week. Travis mentioned it. The worst, luckiest 4-1 team of all time. My pick number 5 is the Panthers -1 at home against the Bears. Don't see it from Chicago. Love what I'm seeing out of Carolina. I keep forgetting when I look at the standings that the Bears are 4-1. It makes no sense to me.
None.
-1 Panthers at home.
Bill really Parcells saying your record is what your record shows.
You are what your record says you are.
Thank you.
Not necessarily true.
Not necessarily. If you see the Bears play football, I don't know about all that. My number 4, Joe, you know I normally don't bet my team, but I love them this week against the Eagles. Okay. I just love the matchup. Carson Wentz is the worst quarterback against the blitz. What do the Ravens love to do on defense? Blitz. His receiving core, they're saying maybe you could get Alshon back, maybe Deshaun Jackson. I really don't think it'll matter. I think the Ravens defense is going to suffocate Wentz. The offense needs to pick it up. They have not been very good the past couple weeks. They need to start running the ball. Lamar threw it 40 times last week when they were up 27-0, because that makes a lot of sense. Run the damn ball, play some good defense. We'll win this game by double digits. Let's go.
All right, so going to the college ranks, I've been pretty much sticking with the NFL overall, but every now and then I like to go down into college. And I was hesitant if I should make this pick because we don't know if the game is going to happen between Bama and Georgia. I'm going to make the pick under the assumption it does. If between recording this, tweeting our picks, it gets canceled,
you'll make it.
I will tweet out a replacement pick. But I really do like the Georgia money line for the reasons we talked about earlier. I don't have to rehash it, but I really do like Georgia money line. They're at +160 as of right now. So that is my number 4 pick. Just tough spot for Bama, especially if Saban can't coach. Even if they still play and it's just somebody else takes the coaching duties, it's just a matter of all week we're worrying about if our leader, Nick Saban, does he have COVID bad? Does he not? There's just so much else distracting them from the game at hand, which is playing against a damn good Georgia team that is hot right now. Georgia plus money, I'll take it.
Mississippi State +5 against Texas A&M is my number 3 pick of the week. Love Mississippi State this week, Joe. A&M's coming off their biggest win under Jimbo. They played Bama 2 weeks ago. They got Florida last week, 2 top 5 teams. Now you got to go on the road to Mississippi State, who has looked horrendous on offense the past 2 weeks. Their defense is playing really well, though. I think they're going to give Kellen Mond fits. I think they figure it out enough on offense. Might not win the game. I think they do, but I think this will be a close 3-4 point game. I like Mississippi State +5 against A&M.
All right, PJ, this year has been historic so far for offenses. So much so that odds makers have been baking in an extra couple of points, inflating the totals because there's been so much scoring.
Right.
And even with the inflated totals, it's still only 43 for Giants against Washington football team. Those offenses are horrible. In a year that has seen historic scoring, I hate taking it under. But in the same way that there's an exception to the Bill Parcells, you are what your record says you are, there might be at least a couple exceptions this year to the always bet the over rule in the current climate of the NFL, where there's just scoring galore, and it's this game. Because both offenses are putrid. 43 with the inflated totals that we've been seeing, that means it's really probably around 39 or 40. Taking the under. This game has like 17-13 Giants written all over it. And it's not going to be pretty to watch. I advise no one to tune into this game. Tune into Red Zone. Tune into anything else. There's probably some paid programming on some channel that you could find. Tune into anything else besides Giants Washington football team.
I like where your head's at. My only concern would be because these teams are so bad, it might be a high-scoring game. That's something you always have to watch out for.
It does happen, but I think with both teams probably trying to be running first in this game, because the Giants' O-line is going to struggle against the pass rush of the Washington football team. And the Washington football team has either Kyle Allen or one-legged Alex Smith, because as awesome as it was to see him come back, you could tell he was not the same Alex Smith under that helmet and into the shoulder pads. So whoever they have at quarterback, they're going to be also run heavy. So this could be one of those games where you're watching Red Zone and every game is like midway through the third quarter, and this one is like 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter just because there's so much running happening. And that yields itself to a low-scoring game as well. So I like the under.
Fair enough. My number 2, again, I'm going back to the SEC. It's been good to me so far. Auburn -3 at South Carolina. I think there's this perception right now that Auburn is not a good football team, which they might not be. They did not look good against Georgia. They should have lost last week against Arkansas. That was a fumble, by the way. Did you see that play that Bo Nix made?
That was wild.
That was a fumble. Arkansas got hosed. This, Joe, I can just see this game being the popular upset pick. I feel like people think Auburn got away with one last week. They don't think they're any good. South Carolina, it's a noon kick because it's Eastern time in South Carolina. Early game in the heat. I just think it's going to be a trendy upset pick. So I like Auburn to cover the -3 on the road against the Gamecocks.
All right, number 2, going to Monday night. I love the Cowboys. They are even on the money line.
Like that pick.
Dead even. It's a team that I think is going to get slighted when it comes to spreads going forward for the next 2 or so weeks. And then after that, people are going to take a step back and realize, oh, Andy Dalton's a perfect quarterback for this team, like we were saying with Trav. I think he is absolutely perfect for this team. They'll just hand off to Zeke a ton. He's been just dominating. Andy Dalton tore it up with A.J. Green with the Bengals. He was always a very solid quarterback. Good game manager, not going to turn it over, can make the wow throw here and there. And he has CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, and then Zeke to turn around and hand it off to. He'll be fine. They're even right now. The spread is +1.5. Take them even on the money line. The Cardinals, I like them. They're fun. They should be able to put up points against this Dallas defense. But the other thing here is just the emotional aspect of it. Dallas is going to come out amped up and ride the wave of playing for Dak and that mantra this year. You see it all the time in all sports, that when a team is able to unite around that common thing and turn that negative into a positive, they're a dangerous team to play against. I always think back to the Rangers in 2014 when they were down 3-1 against a dominant Penguins team, and Marty St. Louis' mom passed away right before Mother's Day, down 3-1. Game 5, they come out. He scores in the first 5 minutes on Mother's Day, days after his mom passed away. They win that series. They go on to get past the Canadiens. They lose to the Kings in the final. But something like that happens. A team unites around something like that, an injury, a tragedy, anything. Especially the next game itself. I always like to pick that team. On that note, about 2 weeks or so after Kobe's passing, I saw Darren Ravel put something out of how many future bets came in on the Lakers to win the championship, and look at how that ended up. Just certain things like that stick out in sports where it's just bigger than the game itself, and that's why I really like Monday night. prime time, Dallas, home. Got to go with the Cowboys.
And I think Dak's injury will turn Dallas into a running team, which they should be.
And that's what they should be.
The defense doesn't have to play as many snaps.
Exactly. Control time of possession, win the game.
Yep. My number one pick of the week, Joe, Sunday Night Football, has been good to me the past few weeks. I had the Eagles upset over the night. Well, I had the Eagles +7. I had Minnesota +7 last week. San Francisco, my favorite play of the week. I absolutely love them this week against the Rams. I cannot see this team losing 3 straight home games. Can't see it, especially the way they got embarrassed last week against Miami. They're going to be ticked off, pissed, and they know they have to win this game, Joe, because the Seahawks are undefeated, the Rams are 4-1, the Cardinals are 3. They have to win this game. I mean, this team right now is looking at the outside, looking into the playoff picture. This is the game I think that they've been looking at. They didn't take the Eagles serious. They didn't take the Dolphins serious. The Rams looked impressive last week against Washington in a spot that many people thought they'd lay an egg. I think the 49ers not only cover the 3.5 this week, I think they win the game outright, but take the points just in case you get a nice 3 and a hook to cover in case it's a field goal again.
All right, we said that this segment has turned into which of the 4 other games are you going to pick besides picking against the Jets. I've used 4 other games so far, so you know what this one is. Miami Dolphins -9.5 at home against the Jets. Let me tell you why, PJ.
God bless it.
I've said that I don't care about the numbers when they're big, depending on who the team is. That goes here. First stat that I want to throw at you. In his putrid career as an NFL head coach, Adam Gase has 30 wins. He has 31 double-digit losses. He has more double-digit losses than wins. His teams don't lose. His teams get bludgeoned, okay? They are on the road in the heat. It's down where I am. It is hot here. It is humid. It is hot. On the road against Miami, Ryan Fitzpatrick, former Jets quarterback, starting. Lighting it up right now. They just killed the Niners. This would be a spot where you say, maybe they're due for a letdown. Not against these Jets. Darnold's out again. Joe Flacco is a statue who – I mean, the offense itself is just horrible under Gase. The lone bright spot is Jamison Crowder. They just got rid of Bell. That is one thing that really weighs on my mind when making this pick. Not from a football standpoint, if you go back and watch the press conferences of players this week, and when they were asked about Bell, all of them, you could see they were just dejected about it. Some of the quotes came out, yes, it was a surprising move. He's a beloved teammate. Shocked to see that happen. Good luck to him. He was beloved in that locker room as a really good veteran who stuck up for the team when Jamal Adams came out, said all that he did, and forced his way out. Bell famously took to Twitter to say, you know what, if you don't want to be here, don't be here. So for Bell to get to that point, he wanted out himself. He had to have absolutely been broken by Adam Gase and the organization and the teammates. You're going to see a clinic on Sunday of quitting on a head coach. All those players looking around the league, seeing Quinn get fired, seeing the firing happen down in Houston. And they're like, why do we still have this clown as our head coach? So between Bell going away, Gase also notoriously poor game planner. And on Sunday during the day is when they found out that they were now playing the Dolphins this week instead of the Chargers. So any advanced scouting they had done to start pre-prepping for the Chargers, that's out the window because it's the Dolphins. So you're already behind on your prep for the Dolphins. Right. Literally everything is working against the Jets. This spread started at 7.5. It's at 9.5 now. I still don't mind it. They're horrible. I was thinking about this today as to what makes Gase so bad. And the best analogy I could think of is if you give a handyman a bag of nails and a screwdriver, right? Screwdriver's not going to work with a nail. There's no little slit in the top, all right? It's not going to work. A good handyman, he flips that screwdriver over, he holds the metal end, and he just starts whacking away at the nails with the handle. You can use it as a makeshift handle, right? Adam Gase would be the one to sit there and try turning the screwdriver into the nail to make it work. His offense is so vanilla. He has done nothing to try to accentuate the positives in it. He's just, this is my offense. I'm going to fit as many, or at least try to fit as many square pegs into round holes as I can. And all it has led to is failure. I cannot wait until he's fired Cannot wait until the future of the Jets after Adam Gase. And
I can't wait for that episode, the
I
podcast
really
episode.
think, PJ, I keep getting my hopes up. I think this could be the week. I think
Because
it
the
can-
Chiefs, right? When are the
I
Chiefs?
think
Not next week, but the one after.
the
Eight,
one
week
after.
eight, week
They
eight.
play the Bills and then the Chiefs. So it doesn't get any easier.
Mm.
But I think this could be the week just because there's so much going on. You already got 2 coaches fired. If Matt Patricia loses to the Jaguars this week, he'll get fired. So maybe the Johnsons look around and say, oh, we're not going to be the only team firing a coach so early, so it takes some of the heat off of us. Bell got cut. All the eyes are on the Jets right now. If they come out and get trounced against the Dolphins, I think it could come full circle. And
Look at
Gase
you
could get
grinning.
fired. To get fired against a team that he had previously gotten fired from. So, PJ, 9.5. This all started with me saying 9.5
I
for the
know.
Dolphins.
Joe, we
and it
started
turned
this
into
conversation
into a
at
Jets rant.
9:04. Yeah, it really did.
Can you tell that I needed to vent about the Jets?
A little bit. Case closed, okay? I mean, you have fully just.
Hopefully. You said case closed. Hopefully, after
I
this
said
week,
Gase
it's
closed.
Gase closed. Oh, you did say
I
Gase
did.
closed. I
said
misheard
Gase
that.
closed.
I misheard that. Then I don't want to take credit for your genius pun. And there you go.
Hashtag. Yep. Well done, Joe. All right. Well, good luck to you. I hope you go 4-1 on your picks. Obviously, I want you to lose Georgia money line, so we'll see. We'll see how you do. Trivia time, Joe. You've closed in the gap. I'm only up by 1 now.
8.5 to 7.5.
That is correct. I wrote it down just to make sure that we knew,
Yes.
but you were on it. 8.5 to 7.5. I can give you my question first if you want.
Okay.
I think it's a pretty easy one. I mean, you should get it. We'll see.
All right.
You know, I've been nice.
That's usually what you say before you give me who's the only team to lose week 1 3 times in the last millennium. Like that's usually what you say before that question.
If you want that question, I can give it to you. I'm just kidding. All right. So we asked Travis a Georgia Bama question. I'm giving you a Brady Rodgers question, kind of.
Okay.
Rodgers won the Super Bowl in 2011 with the Packers. Brady won the Super Bowl in 2015 with New England. In between their Super Bowls, can you tell me the 3 Super Bowls that were played and who the Super Bowl MVPs in those games were?
Okay. So the 12, 13, 14 Super Bowls?
Correct.
Okay. 12, 13, 14.
So this is just all about memory. If you can remember the Super Bowls.
Right. Okay. Time starts now.
Yes.
All right. So, in there is the Ravens and Joe Flacco.
It is 2013.
Okay. That was one of them for sure. So, the year before and after Joe Flacco and the Ravens. So the 15 Super Bowl that the Patriots won, they beat the Seahawks, who were going for the back-to-back. So, before that, it was the Seahawks against the Broncos. And now the thing here is the linebacker won it, and I'm blanking on his name, so I'll come back to that.
Okay.
Alexander?
Not Alexander.
No, who am I thinking of?
One strike. That's the toughest part, is
Yeah,
that MVP.
remembering his name.
You're on the right track.
All right. I know it was the quirky thing with the linebacker, just a matter of remembering his name.
You got 50 seconds, so plenty of time.
The year before the Ravens, 2012, that was the Giants and Eli Manning.
It was. That is
So now it's just a matter of, can I remember the Super Bowl MVP of the Seahawks Super Bowl with the linebacker?
That's all it is. You got 25 seconds to do it.
25 seconds?
Yeah.
He signed with the Raiders after it. Big deal. Never lived up to it.
He did.
Oh my God, it's gonna kill me. It's absolutely gonna kill me.
10 seconds.
Not KJ Wright. That's
Nope.
2 strikes.
5 seconds.
Malcolm Smith.
Yes, at the buzzer. You got it. Wow.
Oh.
Like 129-45
Oh my God.
at the buzzer.
Oh my God.
Well done. Well done. That was the hardest
All right.
part. I figured you get the teams. Could you get Malcolm Smith? Well,
Oh God. As I started thinking through it and like putting context to him, it came to me because I'm like, all right, Seahawks. It's quirky. He was a linebacker. Signed a contract with the Raiders. Didn't live up to it. Like I started building the case and remembering who he was. All right. Now I'm happy.
you're done.
Um,
Now I'm happy.
Your question, opposite of mine, where mine was here's 3, get all 3. Yours has a lot of quantity to it. I want you to give me 7 out of 10 names. I don't think it's that crazy. Maybe it's because I was able to go 10 for 10 when I was thinking about the question, not to put any pressure on you. Maybe it's because I went 10 for 10. I think 7 out of 10 is reasonable. If you get 5 out of 10, I'm willing to put this proposition out there before we go for it. If you get 5 out of 10, I'll give you a half point.
No, I'll do the 7.
You don't want it? All right, fine.
Yeah. Why
All right, I'm not even going to offer you the half point then. All right, here's your question. Because today Justin Herbert leapfrogged into the odds-on favorite for Offensive Rookie of the Year, I looked at the Rookie of the Year awards for the last 5 years. Defensive, offensive. 10 total Rookies of the Year.
Okay.
I want you to give me 7 of them.
Oi.
And it could be 7 offense, 0 defense. It could be 4 and 3, whatever
Right.
the breakdown. Just 7 of the
Right.
10. And your time starts now.
All right. Aaron Donald. Was he the last of that 5th year?
Aaron Donald would have just missed it by 1 year. He was
Okay.
2014.
I wasn't
so
sure.
strike.
1 strike. I know Marshawn Lattimore's on there.
He is one of them.
Let's see. I mean, who were the crap? I gotta go through my head. All right. First overall, Kyler Murray. Yeah, Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray's one of them.
And then the year before him was oi. The rookies.
40 seconds gone.
Oi.
I'll still give you the half if you get the 5, even though you didn't want it.
Yeah. I'm not going to be able to get, but let me see. I just can't think right now of the rookies. Kyler, and then the year before him is Deshaun Watson one of them?
Deshaun Watson is not. 2 strikes, 30 seconds left.
Barkley?
Barkley is one of them. There you go. There's 3.
Okay. God,
20
defense,
seconds left.
man. Yeah. Oh man. No, I'm not gonna be. Jamal Adams.
No. Strike 3.
Yeah.
All right. So, like I said, I always try to do it myself before I give you the question to see if I could get it. I was able to easily go through the offense of the last 5 years. Todd Gurley, Dak Prescott, Alvin Kamara, Saquon Barkley, Kyler Murray. I got through that. I struggled with the defense. I put my timer on. I got 2 strikes before I got through all the defenders. The one that tripped me up almost that I thought you were going to get, because he's one of yours now, was Marcus Peters in 2015. Marcus Peters, Rookie of the Year 2015. What would have put you on the right tracks if you remembered one singular last name? Joey Bosa and Nick Bosa, 2016, 2019. You got Lattimore, and then the one in between there was Darius Leonard for the Colts. So I went 10 for 10. You don't have to believe me on this, but it's what happened. I went 10 for 10.
That's impressive.
I went 10 for 10 at 1 minute 20 seconds with 2 strikes. So I pulled that one, not quite at the same buzzer as Malcolm Smith, but I pulled it nearly at the buzzer.
I just forget, that those guys won Rookie of the Year. You know? I can remember that they had good years, but I just can't remember if they won it. So
the two strikes that I had gotten when I was going through it, similar to you, I got Aaron Donald a strike because, again, I thought it was also within the window. And I also got Odell Beckham Jr. as a strike because I thought it was within that window. But those 2 guys were both 2014.
Gotcha. I knew C.J. Mosley was the same year as Aaron Donald, and Donald beat him. So, but I couldn't remember if that was from 5 years ago or 6. So you got me. Yeah, that was a good one. I just couldn't remember Rookie of the Years.
All right, PJ, we're back to tied.
Yeah, I'm not happy about it. 8.5 to 8.5.
You closed the gap in the bets, only 1 apart, and now we're tied in the trivia.
I know. I'm choking like the Falcons. I had a first half lead.
You know what? Maybe I'll give you a Falcons trivia question next week just to rub it in some more.
There you go. You probably should. I know the first half right. I'll do good the first 40 seconds. The next 50 won't be so good.
Oh, man.
That was good. All right, Joe. 21 episodes in the books. Had Travis Thomas on. A lot of fun. Bama, Georgia this week. Jets.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Seriously. Hopefully. Jets, Dolphins this week. Joe, let me tell you what. The Jets win. They're going to knock out a whole lot of people in survivor pools.
They will.
A whole lot of people. That's what's tempting me of not taking the Dolphins. But then again, who else would I take? The spreads
New England
this week
and Miami this week.
so funky.
There's no double-digit spread. no double-digit spread.
Right.
The biggest spreads are 9.5 Patriots home Broncos, 9.5 Dolphins home Jets.
The Titans are a 3-point favorite home against Houston. How does that make any sense? Pittsburgh's a 3-point favorite home against Cleveland. How does that? I mean, there are just certain spreads that I'm just
Very
like,
tight.
what does Vegas know? So
Yeah.
I almost have to take the Dolphins out of default because obviously I won't use them again. And you know what, Joe? If Flacco takes me out, then so be it. I'm going
Hey,
down.
you know what? We're in the same pool, and you might not even have to be paying attention here because people who have one strike only come back into the mix if
True.
everybody gets a strike, and I am one of 13 people still with no strike. So you might not even come back into the mix, my friend. You might just be stressing over these picks for nothing if I or someone else just stays
I 100% am. I mean, I'm not going to win this thing, but, you know.
And just because I said that, the Jets are somehow going to – no, I'm not even worried. I can't even say that with a straight face.
Not even worried. Awesome. Well, thanks again, everybody, for listening. We hope you enjoy the episode. Thanks again to Travis Thomas and all the wonderful things that he said to us. That was very, very nice of him. Joe, good luck on your bets this week, except the Georgia one. I hope you lose that one. But everything else, good luck to you. Congrats again on the MLS gig. Well deserved, sir. And let's go Tampa. Tomorrow, please. You got to win Game 6. Don't push this to 7. Oh, Joe, it's not good.
On to episode 22. And PJ, we made it through episode 21. Now we're a little Taylor Swift feeling 22. Maybe Travis Thomas planted our guest seed potentially. He tossed up his partner, Michael Jenkins, to us. We'll have to see that one through.
You get to talk some Coastal with them. Yeah.
Could be. You know, we might have to do that. So stay tuned next week to find out if it's Michael Jenkins. Hope you enjoyed episode 21. Same place next week, everybody.